Castillo, Exit Castillo Realty. Domingo, ¿a cuánto estamos?
18.
Domingo 18 de octubre. Bueno, ya saben que este programa es grabado y ahora es jueves, pero es domingo. No estamos en vivo, pero estamos más en vivo que los que están en vivo. Hoy, como siempre, me gusta hablar de lo que está pasando en el mercado de bienes raíces, lo que está pasando en la comunidad más que nada. Y como la semana pasada tuvimos aquí al señor Chan Zaragoza, que está corriendo para el concilio de la ciudad de Oxnard. Hoy invité al señor Brian McDonald, es el consejero de la ciudad. Estaba hablando con él antes de comenzar el programa y me dice que tiene 12 años en el concilio de aquí de la ciudad de Oxnard. Y me parece que habla algo de español. Ahorita vamos a ver qué tanto español habla, si no, pues yo le ayudo con inglés. Good morning, Brian. Welcome.
Good morning. Y puedo hablar un poquito español, pero está muy terrible.
So,
Y soy más confortable hablando en inglés con tu permiso.
so be careful what I say, right? Well, welcome, Brian. Thank you. Thank you. I know that some of the questions that I asked, las preguntas que te hice fue, ¿qué es lo que hacías antes? Being 12 years on the council, what you used to do before?
I was a police officer here in the city for 30 years.
30
Well,
años.
I was with the police department 30 years, 29 as an officer.
30 años como trabajando para el departamento de policía, 12 años en el concilio de Oxnard. So this would be your, what, fourth, fifth term? What is it?
I'm finishing my third term now, and if I'm blessed enough to have one more term, it'll be my fourth term.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, and I'll say it in Spanish. What is it? I know where you live. You're close to downtown. You're close to what's happening here in Oxnard, and I believe that a lot of people run for office because we care about the community, even though sometimes people don't think that's the case. What's your take on that?
I would absolutely agree with that. I was born and raised in Santa Barbara, went to high school there, moved here in 1973, and I absolutely love this place. I could go anywhere I want now that I'm retired. I want to be here.
Good.
I want to be part of the community, and I intend on staying here.
Good. Dice que él nació en Santa Bárbara, que este es un lugar, y yo sé que muchas de las personas que nos están escuchando hablan inglés y español y entienden, pero pues tengo que hablar algo en español para que las personas que no entienden inglés, que puedan entender lo que estamos hablando. Me está diciendo el señor Brian que él nació en Santa Bárbara y que este es un lugar que él completamente le gusta, que ama, y que por eso está aquí donde está, y que aunque se retire completamente, no iría a ningún otro lugar que no fuera aquí. I have some questions for you that have to do with people's concerns and about what's happening here in the city of Oxnard. And I know that one of them for the downtown especially and the city of Oxnard, and not just Oxnard, and we constantly talk about this, and there's opinions about what people think the state, the government should do, and I think one of the big ones is the homelessness here in Oxnard. Can I get some input from
Sure.
you on that?
And we're dealing with a different breed of homelessness than what we dealt with when I was growing up as a young person. And now we're seeing people that are homeless due to economic factors like the pandemic. We're seeing people that are homeless because they have other, I like to call them demons, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but other things that they need to deal with, be it alcoholism, drug abuse, mental illness, things of that nature that have an impact on their ability to be at home, have a home, live like part of the community in a home.
Okay, le acabo de preguntar una de las cosas que afecta mucho a las comunidades, especialmente aquí donde estamos en el centro de Oxnard. Mi negocio es en el centro de Oxnard, pero mucha gente habla de las personas, de los indigentes, de los homeless. La pregunta que le hice fue que si cuál es su opinión o su experiencia, y dice que cuando él estaba creciendo su opinión es de que pues los homeless o los indigentes era algo diferente, que ahorita muchas de las personas que están sin un hogar o que están en la calle, muchas personas tiene que ver por lo de la pandemia, por lo que está pasando, y también sabe y sabemos que mucho tiene que ver con las personas que tienen enfermedades mentales, alcoholismo, drogadicción, etcétera. Um, what's your input or your opinion of what's happening with? I know they're converted or they're doing something with the vagabond for to support the homeless. I know that Emilio's working on the homeless shelter navigation center. I don't think they want to call it homeless center, but it is what it is. What's your take on that, Brian?
Well, I will start out saying that I supported the concept of the navigation center. I'm not sure that Second and B is the best place to put it, but we have to do something. For as long as I can remember, we've been warehousing people and not addressing what they really need to have addressed. We just store them until we find somewhere else to move. And that's not right. We need to address their issues if they have them, if they want help. We need to be there for that. I think we need a place that has a little bit more room for them to live, become part of society. Santa Barbara used to have what they call a transitional living center, where they would bring the people in, get them a place to live, get them, cleaned up a little bit, and then have them go to different classes to deal with whatever issues they might have, and get them to become part of society again. And I think that's a good way to go. But you have to have people that are willing to get in that program. And sadly, there are some people in the homeless community that don't want any part of anything other than to just live in a tent or do whatever. And those are going to be problematic people.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I think a few months back you and I talked and we shared about, you being in the police department and how we were not friends back then. But, and I totally get that. And I truly believe that one of the things that you said it right now, people need help. And I know Barbara's listening to me, she gets upset. I think that housing people is very important, but there's something beyond that for some people, not everybody, because I cannot generalize everybody. But I think you're absolutely right, and I think there's help that these people need. People need different kinds of help. Now, let me ask you this. I know you own a house. You've been involved in real estate. Now, this program is about real estate, and I think the most important thing that we want to do is bring information to the community so they can understand why it's important to own a home, what happens with the things that happen in our community with politics. Like I heard something that this week that we have an Amazon fulfillment center coming into Oxnard, which is going to create 1,500 jobs. We don't know if it's going to be all the people from here, it's people coming in to work for Amazon, and I think it's a good thing for the economy. Now, you hear the other people say, oh man, here comes more overcrowding, there's going to be more people here, people want to move. We have a beautiful climate, we have all these beautiful things, but there's things that people think about. I know real estate prices are really high, we were talking about that before, but people say, well, if I sell, where am I going to go? Am I going to go out of town? I can't sell and buy anything because it's going to be expensive. What's your take on real estate?
Well, it's becoming very, very expensive to live here. And going back to Amazon, if I had my way with the world, Amazon would be hiring people to live here in Oxnard.
I agree.
They need to be. In fact, we're working with the college, Oxnard College and the Ventura County Community College District, to find out now how we can create programs to qualify our residents, our community, to be better qualified for those jobs. I'd like to keep all 1,200 of those jobs here in Oxnard and not have people come from other communities, Santa Monica or wherever else.
1,500.
1,500.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of jobs.
Yeah.
But they need to be in my community. My community needs to be the ones that get hired.
Okay, well now that brings us to the other question, I have, and sometimes I have a conversation with my son, he's 41, and we have different opinions on politics and housing, which is, it's my son, I love him, I tell him, even if you're wrong, but, I'm your dad.
I still love you.
Still love you. But no, I think that's just, it's opinion, and I think one thing that's very important for everybody is, look, we can disagree, but we have to be committed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why we're having this conversation because we need a commitment for the community. I've been doing real estate for 29 years, and I got into it when I first started because of the money. It's a big money. There's a lot of big commissions. There's a lot of money to be made. But as we get older, our way of thinking changes, and that perspective changed to wanting to really help people. I know that a lot of people say, "Oh, come on, it's not about helping." I think it's the same thing with you guys as being in politics. I mean, people say, oh, you know, they don't care about it. They just care about their. I asked John the other day. I said, you know, can you tell me how much you make? He said, yeah, it's public information. I said, then the reason that I ask you that, I said, is because people want to know, or people may not know, and they think, oh, it's not about this. And obviously, we have two different sides now. Saying about the jobs, and you wish that the jobs were be given preferably to the community. See, this is a bilingual program. We're making it English, but it's okay. What do you think about that for the affordable aspect of it? What is your take on affordable housing?
Well, I think affordable housing is something we need to provide. And I sit on a board called Las Cortes. You know, that's what we do, affordable projects. We did Paseo Nuevo down on Cypress, down near the old Garden Acres labor camp down there. We've done, we're the ones that are redoing all the courts in La Colonia.
Right.
Amelia through Eliza. Because those houses were just abysmal. They were not fit to live in for people.
Right.
And so we're redoing all those. We've done another project in the middle of Del Sol Park. So I prefer the model of what they call inclusionary housing, where we blend it in with the other market rate products in there, but it's designed to be affordable for people that don't make as much income.
Right.
And we protect the deeds so we don't get con artists in there doing, you know, buying low and selling high and making an unfair profit. But the people that need the housing still need to live in quality housing and live in a neighborhood where they feel that they're one with the neighborhood, not that they're segregated. When I grew up in the 50s, for lack of a better term, we had what we called the projects.
Yep.
And if you were poor, you lived in a project in a certain area, but everybody that lived in there lived in the same quality house, and it wasn't as good as the surrounding neighborhoods.
Right.
I think we need to get away from that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the mentality of some people, that affordable is for drug addicts, alcoholics. They don't seem to think that it has to do with the economic impact of people not having.
I would absolutely disagree with that.
No,
Yeah.
me too. I disagree, because I think that, you know, my story, and I always share it, and I think I share with you, you know, we came here, my dad was, he was harvesting lettuce. We came from Arizona. So I work in the fields here in Ventura County. I know what it is like to be working on the fields. I know the hard work, and I think that really helped me to get to where I'm at today, you know, in real estate, and I mean, I'm very grateful, and I think that's something that everybody should look forward to improve their way of living. And I know that not everybody has the same way of thinking, because a lot of people, it's about just taking, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can happily live like that, that's great. I can't. So, Brian, I got a couple questions that have to do now. I know that you're running, and I know you've been doing this, and you made a difference. I know that you really love what you do. I mean, I think, I don't know if, well, now let me ask you this. I don't know if you're doing this because of what your wife told you, or because you really want to do this. Let's not go there.
That's okay.
Let's not go there. So.
And the answer is I love what I'm doing.
Great. Okay, that's what I was hoping for, because I didn't
Yeah.
want. Okay, if she's listening, and she's gonna know everything we're saying.
She
speaks
knows
Spanish?
anyway. I'm
She
an
speaks
open
Span-
book with
She
her.
speaks no, I know. She speaks Spanish.
She does.
Okay, well, no, it's in English, so it'll be there. Now, I have a question regarding. I know we have city manager, we have all these departments, and I think one question that was asked to me: we don't have a planning director in the city of Oxnard right now, right?
We have an interim. We had Jeff Lambert, who left the employ of the city, but we're recruiting. He was actually the development services director, so he would be over the building and construction side and the planning side. But we do have a planning manager, a gentleman by the name of Scott Colwitz,
Okay.
who is very, very good.
Okay, but he's interim, right?
No, he's permanent.
Oh, he's permanent? So
Yes.
he's been hired as, is it a planning director, or is there another title?
There's the planning director, and then there's the development services director, and then there's the overseer of both those divisions, which would be what Jeff Lambert was. That's the position that's vacant.
Was he a planning director, Jeff?
He was, we call him the development services director,
Development
so
ser-
he was over planning and development services.
Whose job is to hire that person?
City manager.
City manager, okay. Nothing to do with city council, I mean, he just hires whoever he thinks is the best fit for that position.
Well, city council doesn't do any hiring or firing with the exception of the city manager or the city attorney.
Okay,
But that being said, if the city manager makes poor choices in who he staffs positions with, that reflects on his ability to operate the city, and it may very well put his job in peril.
do I put, if I ask you?
And I'm not threatening Mr. Dillon, I like what you're doing, so.
No, and that's, I would say, if I ask you a question, I mean, how do you feel about the job that Mr. Nguyen has done?
I think he's doing very well. He came here with a lot of bright ideas. I think he has some out-of-the-box thoughts. You know, he mentioned the Zocalo at
Yeah.
Center Point Mall.
Right.
If he can do that, I think that would be phenomenal for the neighborhood.
Can't do it right now with the pandemic.
It's hard to do anything with the pandemic. It's hard to get out of your house with the pandemic.
Yeah, right,
but
yeah. Now, I know that you get calls from people like me and from people from the community that ask you, you know what? And somebody asked me this because they know what we're trying to do with, you know, with the program. And obviously I say it's a program, it's not free, I pay for it. So I get to do whatever I want here in the program.
Sure.
As long as I don't violate any laws, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So what happens, I know that we have a code enforcement and somebody else that does things like when somebody doesn't file permits or get permits and there's fines. I had a question by someone that asked me, you know what, I did something and I got $100 fine, then the next one's gonna be $500. What's next, a lien, a lawsuit? I said, I'll ask that question because I don't know if it's just code enforcement or is there the planning, who handles these things that, I know some of the departments from the city are closed, due to the pandemic. Who would deal with this and who's the person to talk to?
Well, the director of code enforcement, or the manager, is Roger Brooks. He oversees all the code compliance officers, and he works for the development services director. So that would be the thing the process to follow through. But I will say, first and foremost, is we don't want your money. We want your building to be safe for you and for visitors and everyone else. So you will never get a ticket on the very first contact from code compliance.
Okay,
They just don't do it that way. They'd rather have you comply with the rules. And
right.
a lot of the stuff is people don't understand the rules or know that they're doing something that wasn't right. And so I think to a degree, we have an obligation to help them in the process and say, you know, here's how you fix it and here's how you do it the correct way.
You know, you're absolutely right. I mean, we know that we shouldn't talk on the phone, right? When we're driving.
Mm-hmm.
I got a ticket a couple of weeks ago, and I
Oh.
have, see, this is the thing, I mean, it's
You
just like.
don't have hands-free?
No, yes, I do, that's the thing, you know, that's insane, and that's what I tell people, look, we all know what to do to lose weight, but damn, it's hard to do it. You know, and and it's one of those things, I mean, you know, it's just like, I have people that, they ask me, you know, real estate, they say, do I have to get a permit for a water heater? I say, you need a permit for everything. I said, and I know that a lot of people say, well, you know, and I said, but those are the rules and those are the guidelines, and you know, when I, you know, and I got the ticket, I said, you know, hey, it's my fault. I mean, you know what, I'm a real estate agent, I'm busy, and the first thing you're doing, I mean, I forgot to put my earplug, and I said, well, hey, you know what, I just laughed, you know, but that's what happens.
And if we really wanted to write you a ticket and get money from you, we'd have somebody sit at Home Depot or Lowe's every day and watch everybody that walks out with a water heater knowing that they're gonna put one in and follow them, but that's not the way our system
Yeah.
works, and that's not what we do. We do it because we want people to be safe, to make sure the gas line doesn't leak or some other, you know, that is adequately strapped for earthquakes and so on and so forth.
Okay, well, what do you feel that, where are we heading? And I know that you love what you do, you've been doing this for a while, obviously you're running again, you're trying to get this position again, and I know that Tim is running for supervisor, so is Carmen. I think I read something, one of them wins, might have a job, the other one may still have a job, the other one may not. So what is your what's your desire, what's your vision for the city of Oxnard as we are right now?
You know, when I first got hired as a council member and I started working here, we didn't have districts, so we were citywide. And I got deeply involved in the Halico waste pile.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's not in my district anymore, I'm still deeply involved with it, working with EPA. And EPA has said, we would just like to cap it and leave it there. Well, that's not acceptable to me. This is in my community, it's ugly, it's not the best material, we need to do whatever we can, and we're actually still working within the community. And I think we are very, very close to having a solution that EPA will accept, and also the Department of Toxic Substance Control on the state level, that will allow us to move that pile out of Oxnard and reuse what can be reused and dispose of legitimately the rest of it. But, you know, my community shouldn't have to live with a huge pile like that on their beach.
Was that sold or was it listed for a bunch of money? I saw something. Was it somebody bought it or is it listed for sale?
No, well, the Hack family's been trying to sell the front property, but nobody will touch it because of the EPA problem.
Okay.
The back 5 parcels, back 4 parcels were sold in a tax lien sale, which was bought by a development group in somewhere in Southern California. But realistic, it's in coastal reserve. You can't build on it. You can't develop it.
Okay. Muy buenos días, Lorenzo Castillo de Exit Castillo Realty. Estoy aquí conversando con el señor Brian McDonald. Brian es un consejero de la ciudad de Oxnard. Trato de hacer el programa bilingüe, pero ahora parece que lo hice más en inglés y pues más que nada lo que estamos hablando es de las cuestiones que tienen que ver aquí con la ciudad, el beneficio para la comunidad en lo que tiene que ver con bienes raíces. Sabemos que los precios están exageradamente altos en los precios de la vivienda, los intereses excelentemente bajos, la gente quiere comprar, mucha gente quiere comprar, quiere aprovechar los intereses. Mucha gente quisiera vender, pero obviamente no pueden vender porque la pregunta es, si vendo, ¿para dónde me voy? ¿Qué es lo que voy a hacer si vendo? Entonces es muy importante que invitemos a la comunidad, a las personas que me escuchan, a las personas que quieren saber más, que sepan que estamos aquí para informar. La invitación a la semana pasada al señor John Zaragoza, esta semana a Brian, es porque me interesa a mí. Yo también tengo viviendo aquí en Oxnard desde 1972. Yo sé que hay muchas cosas que creemos que no son importantes o mucha gente va a pensar, pues esto que tiene que ver con bienes raíces. Tiene que ver mucho porque una de las preguntas que le hice al señor Brian es, no sé si muchas personas se han dado cuenta que la compañía Amazon va a tener un lugar aquí, un centro de distribución, Fulfillment Center, aquí en la ciudad de Oxnard. Se están construyendo edificios en la González y la Rice, la propiedad de Saquioca. Van a tener un nuevo complejo ahí y van a necesitar o van a tener 1,500 empleos. La siguiente pregunta para eso es, estos empleos van a ser personas que viven aquí en el condado, en la ciudad de Oxnard. El señor McDonald me estaba diciendo que él y ellos prefieren y que están hablando con los colegios para saber si los empleados que van a tener en esta compañía, que sean personas que ya viven aquí, que son residentes de la comunidad. Pero obviamente eso tiene un impacto, es algo positivo para la comunidad, pero ¿qué es lo que hace para la vivienda, especialmente cuando hablamos de vivienda económica y de que se debe incluir vivienda económica en los desarrollos de construcción, no tan solo separar, segregar lo que es económico con las propiedades que son de más valor? Entonces son cosas que pues hay diferentes opiniones y yo pienso es porque no entendemos muchas cosas de aquí de la comunidad. I'm going to ask you a question that came to my mind. What's going on with the streets? I know they're fixing some of the streets, the holes in the alleys, and that. Tell me about that. That came to my mind, so I got to ask you.
We do a 5-year capital improvement program, so this is ongoing, and we try and get the worst streets first. The big question has always been, what are we going to do with Rice Avenue, because it's terrible. And we haven't done anything. We're going to do some minor work there, but until we finish the bridge, the flyover, and the Saquioca property, it doesn't make a lot of sense to dump millions of dollars into it just to dig it up again. And that's one thing that drives me nuts about us sometimes.
I agree. Yeah, and you know what? It's obviously one of the questions is that, it's really easy, like for myself. I mean, I go through a street and my little smart car hits a bump and I get pissed off. I go, my goodness, I mean, why don't fix the streets? And I understand that it's a process, and I know that we wish things were done when we say something and it's not the way it is. What is one really important thing besides the site that you mentioned for Oxnard, for you as a city council? And I see, and I haven't been much involved in the city council meetings because they're on Zoom and running all over the place, but
Sure.
I used to go. What's one of the most important things for you as a resident, as a member of the city council?
I think the most important thing to me is one, my reputation. If you don't have the reputation, there's nothing you can do to replace it. So I'm very, very cognizant of that. Secondly is, regardless of the fact that we have districts, my door is always open, my phone is always available, I will talk to anyone, anywhere. I don't care where they live, what their issue is, I'm there to help. And if I can do anything to assist anybody, if at all possible, please call me and let me know. And I will do whatever I can. And I'm a realist. We may or may not agree on any particular issue, but my job is to try and do the best thing I can for the betterment of this community. And that means helping the people that live here, not just the people in my district or someone else, but everybody.
Great. I really thank you for taking the time, for accepting my invitation, and I agree. I have your cell phone every time I called you. I've spoken to you, I think 1 or 2 times. Maybe I called you, leave a voicemail, you call me right back. So I really appreciate that, and I think that it's really important for me, and I always say this, it's really important to have people that are honest and truly about what they say and then what they do, because we got a lot of people that say stuff and they do totally the opposite. Oh yeah, I'm all for the community, I want to help, and then you find out that it's totally different. And I know that we're not perfect. I know that we all have defects and faults, but I think it's really important, especially for people like, you know, as long as you live here, as long as I live here, my kids, my grandkids, and the family, and the clients and the community that we work with, I think it's really important to be able to share honestly what we really want. I know that people might think for myself, you know, well, yeah, you do the radio program because you want to promote your business. Yeah, I do, and I wish everybody would buy the house from me and everybody would sell their house from me. But I know that's not the truth. That's not a fact. But I'm here, just like you said. If anybody has a question, anybody needs information, I'm here. If you're thinking about real estate, if you're thinking about entering the real estate career, buying or selling, refinancing, anything that has to do with real estate. And obviously I've gone beyond a little more because I think politics, council, city, anybody that is part of the community should be involved in real estate, because that's one big portion of our economy. So again, I want to thank you. Le estoy dando las gracias. Él acaba de mencionar que él tiene que los están divididos en distritos, pero que él siempre tiene su teléfono disponible, sean de su distrito o no, para ayudar, para escuchar los comentarios de las personas. Yo sé que muchas veces tenemos situaciones que tienen que ver con la vivienda, con las calles, con la basura, con tantas cosas que pasan alrededor de nuestras vecindades, y lo primero que queremos hacer es con quién hablo, a quién le digo, los árboles y todas estas cosas que pasan en la ciudad. Entonces, yo, para mí es un privilegio, es un placer poder tener la comunicación con esas personas para tratar de ayudar a las personas que están interesadas en comprar, en vender, en refinanciar, que quieren una carrera en el negocio de bienes raíces, que quieren aprender más de lo que es el negocio, lo que es la vivienda, lo que es una casa, lo que es un hogar, ya sea residencial, comercial, industrial. Estamos aquí para servirles. No he dado mi número de teléfono, Stephanie, recuérdame. 805-479-2569, 805-479-2569. Este programa lo pueden mirar en YouTube, Lorenzo Castillo, YouTube. El sitio para si usted quiere buscar casa de renta, para vender, para comprar, es www.exitcastillorealty.com. exitcastillorealty.com. Mi número celular 805-479-2569. Se nos está terminando el tiempo. I think we're running out of time. You want to add anything to what we talked about? Anything that you feel is important to your election?
I would just say that I agree with you 100%, that if you're going to talk, you need to walk. And that's what I try to do. That's my life.
You know, I learned something that it says that you cannot transmit something you haven't got. You know, I know that it's really easy to, you know, the words and talk, and I think what really comes down to is, you know, what is it that you're really doing without even saying anything. I think it's more the example, and I think that you have a big responsibility to us, to the community, because you're in a position that people elect you because they trust you, and I don't think you want, you said it, it's your integrity. You don't want anybody down, and I know that it's for a reason. So I really want to thank you for taking the time and for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here and present myself to you and the community.
Good luck. We'll find out probably, what, a week, 2 weeks after the election?
Hopefully so.
Thank you, Brian. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias.
Por nada.